think the crevices. I was laying on the couch. I didn't feel any keys. I feel like you left it at a gas station. Honestly,
it might have been left at a gas station. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. All I know is that fucking like of all the things I've lost in my life, one thing I know I will never get back is the time I spent watching Bros.
And your anal virginity.
And, yeah, you can't get your virgin... Well, yeah, you can totally get your... Are you kidding me, dude? Like, if we're talking, like, modern Christianity, you can totally get your virginity back. You just, like, go take another dip, be a born again.
I don't think the second baptism counts for anal virginity. I think that's specifically...
I bet there's probably at least one offshoot now that, like, accepts the gays because they weren't getting as many joiners and they saw one gay guy in town. And they need just, like, $5 more a collection plate a week just to keep the fucking roof on,
That was one church in San Francisco.
Churching's a biz, dude.
Listen, you could just come by and if all forgiven. AIDS is only a state of mind.
Yeah, no, dude, like, fucking, see, it's really funny that, like, the gay community can be, like, all super happy and, like, fucking open about all their group sex and stuff, and then just, like, want us to feel bad about AIDS? Like, come on, guys.
I feel like Brant just had a great idea for, like, a born-again gay racket where you could just, like, instead of, like, absolving away everyone's sins, you're absolving away all the AIDS, and then they can just walk out a free person. $50 a head.
I mean, that might have worked in the 80s, but I feel like nowadays, like, I don't think... Yeah, I feel like everybody's, like, even the retarded
people... It would have been a moneymaker. It would have been a moneymaker in the 80s.
You could have had Mike Pence housing the whole operation. He could have, co-opted it with his conversion camps. Holy shit, we could have been, like, the first, Cox for Christ?
Would you rather, so, like, alright, okay, would you rather fucking, like, would you rather bang Mike Pence or Pete Buttigieg?
They should have broken that bus in the movie, and I was so pissed they didn't fucking break that bus.
They didn't break that bus to Pete Buttigieg because they clearly weren't allowed to break the bus to Pete Buttigieg, or they just didn't want to disrespect Pete Buttigieg.
You don't remember that?
Where was the bus?
When he was freaking out on testosterone and he was like trying to use the gay flag to smash the bust of Pete Buttigieg.
Oh, was that Pete? I must have missed that. Sorry. Oops.
Yeah, this is where
I didn't realize it was Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, that's
real quick. Me and Dwayne saw this in theaters. I actually have the ticket with me somewhere.
Only because I would not have gone to see this in theaters. I wanted to not do this movie.
No, I wanted to be an ally so bad.
I can't believe you guys didn't just like purchase like tickets for another movie.
We've done that before. We did that for Space Jam 2, but this movie didn't directly give money to China. This money, I don't know what this movie just like fucking paid back all the marketing that they wasted.
I could say faggot so much now. I could be so belittling.
Yeah, no, because you have a ticket to Bros, dude.
You should
laminate that.
Like, did you see Bros? I saw it with my pansexual friends.
You know what? I saw Bros in the theaters too, actually, because I was in the theater with all the other people who stood in front of the screen when they were getting up to go to the bathroom.
And that theater, like,
because I was watching.
They liked one part of the movie. There was one part, and the slots ads, but the theater crowd liked one part of the movie, and it was just they kept fucking whispering to each other, and then second gay sex scene, they walked out. And then me and Brant just had a theater all to ourselves.
Yeah,
really? That was it. That was literally everybody.
Yeah, no, it was so fun because I could kind of hear them talking at one point in the movie, and it sounded like the girl said something like, "This is kind of a lot," and the guy said, "You wanted to see the gay rom-com." It was great. It was great. I was so happy.
I mean, they don't even go. I haven't seen Brokeback Mountain. I don't know what the sex scenes are like.
Brokeback Mountain is a good movie.
Yeah, that's true. But like, there's not actually that much gay sex. I guess there's a fair amount of gay sex in this movie. It's like it's mostly just like touching. It's like a lot of just like shirtless gay men touching for the most part.
Because it was trying to be a comedy.
No, there's a lot of fucking.
There is a fair amount of fucking, a lot of kissing.
There's a lot of sexuality. There's okay, so it's like the guy jerking off and coming on his dick. There's the There's
right.
with the faux baseball player.
Okay, wait.
Buddy, when they're double sucking him off.
Yeah, that's true.
They had two different ones, and he also fucked that other gym boy.
Okay, Grant. The thing is, though, the thing is that these sex scenes are shot in such a sterile way that it's they almost don't feel like sex scenes, like
sexless,
like the
filmography.
Scene, it's really funny. No, it's really funny because the jerking off scene, it just shows their face, and it's like this is a sex scene, and they just go like, and that's it. That's it.
Well,
like that's the entire sex scene. It's just these guys with their faces like this, and it's like they're sitting next to each other. They're not even touching each other in the frame.
A lot of the fucking filming of it and the cinematography of it in general is just like fucking like really just like idea free. Just like really fucking just like pop in there, put it right here, boom. Like me and Brand were talking about this in the theater. The part where they're having the fucking like threesome and then Steve comes in and then they have a foursome and Steve is just kind of like fucking like going around him and he worms in the middle. That's a fine enough joke. But that would have been a lot funnier, I think, if they just, like, didn't cut and they just kept it wide and Steve was just, like, circling like a shark. That would have been a lot funnier, but it wasn't directed well enough, it wasn't shot well enough, and it wasn't. And I bet it wasn't acted well enough to make it so they couldn't, like, they could keep a single shot going that long.
They had to get that coverage to make that scene work.
Dude, fucking
Speaking of
Eric
going wide shots and just cutting everything, Judd Apatow has never had such a fucking hot mushroom stamp on a movie than he did with this one.
I didn't know Judd Apatow had his fucking greasy fingers on this one, but
you can feel it. Yeah, you can feel it really hard.
It really is. Yeah. Like the scene when he was talking to the billionaire, and the billionaire just like fucking like sits down and starts obviously ad-libbing his idea or whatever about the fucking. But it wasn't. I guess it wasn't an obvious ad-lib because they shot it later about his fucking haunted horror gay thing or whatever.
No, that was just particularly bad because he was behind the like statue and then like they cut back to him. He's sitting there like mid thought, like oh my god.
It was just a bad cut that felt like a cut from a lot of those Judd Apatow movies where like it came from like improvisation. It's way too quick. It's just weird. Like this is a fucking
not a well-made movie. It's not the most well-made movie.
You ever think?
Is it directed by?
No, it was directed by someone else.
It's not directed by the Billy
Eichner. That's his fucking name. Billy Eichner.
Billy Eichner.
Yeah,
this is a bummer because Billy can kind of be funny. When he does like actual comedy.
When he did like I remember like finding him mildly amusing in some of the Man on the Street shit in like 2015 before I got red pilled.
Yeah.
He was
I just hated him.
The guy who he's banging, right? The guy who's banging in the movie isn't that great of an actor, right? So this really feels like it's the classic fucking thing of the fucking like a pervy Hollywood producer, Woody Allen style, just being like, I would love a movie where I fuck this actor. And then they just wrote a guy in and fucking just forced it in there. Like just, it felt so...
This guy felt like the gay Woody Allen. Like this guy was a gay.
But Woody Allen is funny, and Woody Allen lets other characters make fun of him. In this movie, when characters made fun of him, he always had a quip ready, and they would write in other characters laugh. Other characters laugh. Like every single fucking thing. This movie is such a dick suck for himself. I didn't hate it that much the first time I watched it, but the second time I watched it, I noticed how much of a dick suck it was.
It sucks its own dick a lot, especially with like how Billy Eichner wants to see himself getting in a relationship too, because it's like it's all his ideals and all this stuff, and you can tell he's just really sad.
Well, and maybe it's a true story. Maybe it's a true story. I give it the benefit of the doubt that maybe it's actually a true story.
I looked it up, and he's not married. He's not. He's
but he might have dated a guy for 3 months and then fucking thought about doing the absolute hell of trying to fucking force a child to see you exist. Because that's how the movie ends. They don't get married. They don't get married at the end. It's
just kind of that, like, there was a little bit of self-awareness at the very beginning where it seemed like the character... he was actually making fun of himself.
And then they gave up on it.
That's the thing. No, I know, but the movie just started off good. Yeah, because, like, the movie started off good where it seemed like it was going to be an analysis of this character a little bit more, where it was like, oh... This character is a self-loathing, like a really like just obnoxious gay person that is every single stereotype, and he has a lot of problems with all this shit, and it's all the gay stereotypes, and everything's just blown out of proportion, or like I don't know. It felt like it was actually like kind of willing to make fun of itself, and then for some reason it just like dissolved into this like, really dumb shit.
Yeah, no, and I mean, like, if this movie actually, like, here's a remake for you way before we even get to that section, but, like, fucking, this movie would have been really funny if it was, like, if he was, like, straight up actually homophobic. Like, if it was just, like, a super gay rom-com, but one of the gay guys is really homophobic. Then it would have been funny.
He seemed kind of homophobic at first. He seemed a little bit homophobic.
He did, like how they're talking about how gay people are stupid, but then it just becomes apologies.
Shaming. Yeah, okay, throughout this entire movie... This movie is actually, if there's one thing that this movie is bigoted against, it's polyamory. Polyamory shames very hard. I don't think the polyamory community deserves such a slight.
I think they do.
Everything that's going on.
You guys are wrong.
Well, I'm just saying.
Bisexuals either. For some reason, he's like,
no, he did not like bisexuals.
Yeah, he was shitting on Also, FTMs, dude. Like, I was a little like, I don't see a single FTM at this meeting here. But like,
you know what else? You know what else?
That sounds like erasure.
Males were buck broken. There was. I only saw. I guess we had that one black stud that he did the weird voice on. Other than that, the only other black man in this movie was that like the two transgender ones that were just basically women.
No, so and that's the erasure. That's the erasure of black gay males, because black gay males are actually very underrepresented. So literally, this movie was trying to fucking like do all of the fucking like woke Olympics, but it like fucked up a bunch of them really bad.
As a gay New York Jew with a podcast that they only touch on for 10 minutes.
One scene with the podcast.
Entirely.
As a gay New York Jew, he is inherently afraid of the black man. So, of course, he couldn't have that be the main love interest. Interracial marriage.
And of course, the only interaction with like a black man that he actually has to deal with, he's just like trying to do like the nigga voice, basically. He's just going, bro. And then he goes, I can't do this. I'm actually really terrified.
I feel like he would say he was trying to do the bro voice and he wouldn't put a race on it.
I'm actually terrified. I have to go. That's what happened.
Yeah, that is what happened. That is what happened. Yeah, no. So have you guys watched a lot of rom-coms?
No.
I've seen a handful, and I've at least seen parodies of them. I've seen like probably about like 15 of those movies over fucking the years or whatever. But I have never once seen one, and maybe I'm just not versed enough, but I've never seen one where the main goofy guy character with all of his faults here and there, his prickles, falls in love, and then everything he does throughout the movie is seen by the movie as correct. And everyone else has to apologize to him. The girl has to apologize to him at the end. And he gives the big song at the end, even though it's not even his apology scene. Like, if in The Wedding Singer, the chick had to come and sing to Adam Sandler, like, that's what this movie is. Like, it's such a fucking self-suck. I hate this movie.
No, that's true. Yeah, it's like who's the actress in the what's the movie where he's holding the boombox or whatever? It's like if the chick was doing that.
John Cusack with like the boombox. I don't know who's in there.
Yeah. No, that's true, because it was exactly like that kind of scene where it's like the hot stud that
I'm sorry song, like, but he wasn't apologizing. Yeah. He was like, "You're okay."
And he starts, but remember when he starts running to go like tell that guy tell Billy that he loves him. Remember, he's like, "Oh, I gotta go run and tell him," and he sends him a text, I think, and Billy just goes like, "No, I don't
what's up?" or whatever,
and then just doesn't look at it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. Like with the chocolates thing, he doesn't respond to the thing with the. I don't know. It's fucking bad.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. This is like an anti-rom-com.
It really is, and like it was trying to like bill itself as so many other things, and like if it would have been just about two dudes banging, it might have done a lot better. But because it became about the politics of two dudes banging as the B story of two dudes banging, then I think it just became way too meta, and it just became another fucking like flirty derp. Because that was why I wanted to watch this movie so bad. That was why I felt like I really needed to watch this movie. Because I want to shit on this movie. That was my first fucking reaction when I saw the trailers. But I was like, no, I need to give this movie respect. Because like I would hate it if anything I made people shat on for even they didn't even see it. I don't want to be that guy. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to give this a chance. Maybe this could be a good movie. And I actually had really high hopes coming into it. And boy, oh boy, were those dashed. Because like I want comedies to succeed. I want people to make fucking comedies. but they aren't fucking funny.
Man, I'd be pissed watching this. I'd be like, this is how I'm being represented. This is my rom-com. This?
It's not
seriously.
Funny.
How about
it's like what's the quote? Oh yeah, well, no, you remember though. No, you're probably gonna say it. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna talk about the end. How it was like, my parents took me to go see a gay Broadway play, and it was basically just 12 men fucking each other on stage, and that was a positive.
12 years old, saw 8 penises. And that's one of the things that really bothered me, is it made everybody who disagrees with him, it did the Aaron Sorkin thing much worse, where, like, everybody who disagrees with the main character just happens to not have the best argument at the time. Somehow. But fucking any other teacher who really gave a shit about fucking kids and was like, I think that's a little bit too young, when he said that shit about fucking, and you could have even made this into a homophobic joke if you wanted to shit on the homophobes, but when he said that thing about how he saw fucking 8 fucking penises and dudes making out when he was 12 years old, she could have said fucking, all right, well, that's why you're gay. Like, that must have been why you were gay. And like, that's what she would have fucking said.
And what you were saying with it's like characters don't say things right at the time. Like the guy, the stud guy that he's falling for. If that like really what that stud guy was trying to say when he said "don't be yourself" is just like don't say a bunch of your weird gay shit and go on a huge rant about gay
exactly, dude.
History to my modest parents. That's literally all he was saying.
You know what?
It's like that's actually not that much to ask. Yeah, it's not a huge amount to ask for the first impression with your parents. I don't think that's too much to ask.
It was as delusional as the most delusional parts of like gay ideology. And it makes sense why he made his character like a fucking gay ideologue, because his fucking romantic attitudes are just as you're bad, I'm good 100% of the time as that ideology.
Yeah. Yeah, which explains, I feel like maybe that explains like why he's so against polyamory, because like he tries to be I don't know, it's
he's
all
selfish, like you could, I don't know, like I've gotten out of polyamorous
yeah, it's like
things,
that one thing. That one thing he's willing to shame. No, I mean you know what I mean, Brant. Like it's the LGBT accepting kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. Yeah. It was very corporate. It was very corporate.
It's check marks. It's just boxes, but it's also the whole thing runs like that Dave Chappelle joke where it's like the LGBTQ thing is like being in a car and like the gays and lesbians just hate each other. And the bisexuals are having a fun time
because Dave Chappelle, like, fucking, that was an accurate joke, and he, like, worked on that shit, and, like, saw how everybody reacted.
Did the boardroom scenes for the museum thing, that museum thing that he worked for, did those not feel like an MDE sketch? Like, those felt like a Sam Hyde.
They felt like an MDE, like it's like that part.
I was a giant lesbian in the space. I was like, that's fucking hilarious.
It's like that part.
Yeah, so funny. No, that was really funny, actually.
That was something I said to Brandon in the theater, actually, that I kept thinking about. Is like fucking, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but like maybe it's just because I'm a bad person. But like fucking the joke, all those scenes especially, but like the joke where the fucking like lesbians tackle him, and then the big lesbian's like, lesbians assemble. That joke would have been way funnier if it was making fun of people more. Like if it was being more like fucking like shitting.
Unfortunately.
On people. But, like, because it's, like, trying to make it so everybody looks like the good guy or whatever, then it can't really shit on people.
No, and it just doesn't... And also, like, they're not being funny. They're just not being funny at all.
That was probably the funniest line in the movie. Second funniest line in the movie, because the best part of the movie, like, fucking take everything out of the movie and just keep this little clip, but I love fucking Ben Stiller saying, "Hey, queers!" I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's good. Hey, queers! Oh man, yeah.
Because Ben Stiller is a legitimate fucking iconoclast. He's Charlie Chaplin, dude. He's a legend.
He's getting there.
Dude. If he has one more, I don't know if he can, but if he has one more Tropic Thunder level thing come out, then he will be one of the greats of all time.
He'd be pretty solid.
That would be
because everything he's done a lot of other good things, but Tropic Thunder is a legitimate fucking classic.
There was one line, because I knew I was trying to decipher my notes, but there was one line in there that I remember like being like sticking with me, and this was where I thought that the movie might actually be at an interesting angle, and it was where they say like I can't remember who he's talking to, but they tell him like, well, love is love, don't you know that? And he goes, love is not love. That's just something that we told you to get our foot in the door. Like we're so much different than you straights. Like this is we're on a whole different level. And he goes on this whole rant, and that was like, it felt
it's a weird
exactly
rant.
how it felt, and that was where because that happened really early on, and that was why I actually liked the beginning, because it felt like it was kind of like some kind of weird introspection.
It could have been an interesting. It could have been an interesting angle, right? But like all it says.
Nephew.
What?
Was that with his sister and nephew cats?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think.
But
it was.
Love is not love is a theme
straights,
that comes back at least
the boring
3 times.
straights that were set in their way, because there's like at one point like he's talking to like his like brother-in-law or whoever it was, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just a boring old straight, but you guys are smart."
And I would have been fine
like
if the movie shat on straights more. I would have been fine if it also shat on gay people more. And just was like, because it's a comedy, dude. It should shit on people. It should like, it doesn't have to be cruel, but it should make things into more of like a joke. All the dialogue, all the fucking funny banter between him and the boy or whatever, and like all the funny banter out in the streets and stuff. Those would have been funny things to say if we were just chilling. But like the thing about the thing about
the beginning.
What?
Some of the banter was funny at the beginning, like that he was having with that like gay, like bald fat guy, and he was just like, "Oh, I just had sex with like 3 people this morning actually, and I met Bob there," or he's just like saying shit like that, and that was actually kind of funny to me too, where he's just like casually saying, "It's like I saw Bill at like the orgy the other day," like.
Then Katz, you officially got one more laugh out of this movie than I did, at least, because I didn't think that shit was funny at all.
Another good, like, weird kind of gotcha scene.
I thought it was funny in a weird way. I don't know.
A couple of them. I mean, a lot of this, like I said, is just bad representation. The one I like, though, is not only was that the gay millionaire who had the weird Judd Apatow cut, but when he was like, "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go to a pool party, and you boys are far too old."
Hashtag Bryan Singer. I'm getting some Bryan Singer vibes. You guys are too old for the pool.
Yeah,
Bryan Singer.
That was a good one too. Well, let's not forget the ending where it's like, "Let's adopt a child. Let's kid time.
Dude. Oh my god,
go.
Dude. I work with
distance and see if we can get ourselves.
So go and cancel me, everybody listening to this in the future. But I work with children, and fucking like I've been talking to 12-year-olds lately who don't know anything about American history, don't know anything about world history. They don't even know who Lewis and Clark are. They think Lewis and Clark is a place. Someone said, "Who's Lewis and Clark? Is that a lady?" Like, oh my god, Jesus fucking like. But yet again, this man is willing to say, "Oh, but 8-year-olds should be taught about fucking gay history." Like that's the only history we should fucking teach them, is that and slavery.
Chris Pratt Light brought it up perfectly, where it's like, this is depressing. There's no good history here. It's just like Nazis.
Yeah.
And you guys never focus on the cool stuff. It's just all like, well, we fought for our rights. It's like you guys keep bringing up the fact that
there are some badass homos.
Of history. That Zimbabwe itself had fucking paintings that are like millions of years old.
I don't know, Bram. Whatever that one guy's really. There was that one guy's brilliant idea where it was like gay psychological trauma. Like I think that was like the idea.
That's a fun idea, and I mean like
there was house. I thought that sounded great.
There was like one good line later in the movie, like
hilarious
when that had its punchline. When that had its punchline, sorry,
always boils down to like, feel bad for us. It's so tough to be.
Well,
people don't treat us the same. It's been so tough to be gay.
But like, they don't. But that was part of the theme, though, is they also don't want to be treated exactly the same. But then the only example they give of like fucking like what is different about their love is that there's just a lot more group sex and a lot like that was their only like clear, because like all the pillow talk scenes where fucking Billy Eichner and the fucking hot boy were like in bed, all of his dialogue, just fucking take him out in your head and just put in a woman. It's just woman's dialogue. It's just like, oh, I love that.
It was.
It's just like, literally, that was what I thought would also be a good.
There was the line. Yeah, well, there was the line in there where he's just like, "I see the other men that you look at. Those aren't me."
Women!
He's a gigantic fag, and of course, like any big fag, he acts like an effeminate woman. He even talks like one. To the point of like just to act like a normal.
He's a Stacy.
He's a Stacy. You could shot for shot easily recreate this movie.
He's like
Jewish Stacy.
You could easily.
He's a Yenta Stacy.
Because of his status, he's like an 8 to a 10, or he can write himself into that. But You saw his weird, gross, concave, super hairy chest,
and he's
like,
he just has a podcast in this show just to like write the other gay people to like fucking for some reason like him and be like, oh, I've seen your podcast.
Sorry, Dwayne. I had a joke of like people coming in his concave chest. I cut over you. My bad, dude.
No, we've been talking over each other. We're just having a terrible podcast of homophobia right now.
Always. That's what makes it.
It's great.
That's not what makes
it good. Yeah,
that's what makes it garbage.
Make it better.
No. You could totally, you could so easily remake this movie and just like replace Billy Eichner with just a woman and make it about feminism and replace all the fucking like scenes at the fucking gay history museum, make it a feminism history or a women's history museum. Just replace it all and just it all still works because it's just all victimhood.
You know why? Because men and women are the same. Men and women, it's nothing different. It's just like a different experience every now and then. That's about it. It's
at least really, if when you say men, you mean Billy Eichner. Yes, you're right. Men and women are the same.
Yeah, Billy Eichner is a woman.
I don't know if he's aware of that yet.
I haven't even negative against Billy Eichner, but I fucking hate him now. With a raw passion, I fucking hate Billy Eichner.
I didn't hate him. I still don't think I
likable person.
Man, dude, like fucking his like we might as well like mention it. Like his fucking like thing, like the only reason people didn't go see it is because of homophobia. You're welcome for the $40 we spent at our local theater to try to keep you awake.
Homophobia made you money, asshole. Homophobia actually put...
Yeah, exactly. If homophobia didn't exist, you wouldn't have this movie, Billy.
You wouldn't have seen this movie. I didn't pay for it.
Billy Eichner $20. I would give him a crisp, fresh Jackson, soon-to-be Harry Tubman $20 bill to call him a faggot to his fucking face. It got a wide release.
How could this piece of shit get a wide release?
I'm with, like, all types of degeneracy and bullshit. The amount of shit that I just swallow and be like, you know what? You know, it's fine, because at the end of the day, the person's going to be like, Billy, you are without a doubt, at the end of the line, to the very core of your being, a gigantic faggot. Stop. Here's $20. Kill yourself.
And not in the good way.
Ooh. You just turned our podcast into hate speech, Brant. That's actionable.
Sorry, we're good.
Because he's a faggot. That's why I don't want him to kill himself because he's gay. I want him to kill himself because he's a faggot.
And that's like that's the distinction.
Are we getting the nukes? Are the nukes coming to like each of our individual households as we speak right now?
That'd be really funny. That would be really funny if that happened in Montana too, because they just like fucking point them up.
Yeah.
And just.
I would have a gun loaded and ready to go. Look at how I'm dressed. I got ketamine just for that final standoff sitting in the vault.
No, fuck this movie. It fucking sucks.
Did we go? I feel like we actually went over most of it. The only other notes I have is there's way too much texting in the movie. There's a ton of texting.
I didn't mind it because that is a natural like reflection of how like dating is nowadays, and so I'm fine with that. And like there's one shot I really liked where it was split screen between them both, and they were texting back and forth, and like they both say okay sure or whatever to like go on the date, and they both look at their phones and put it back down because they're waiting for the other one to text again or whatever. That was real. That was a good little moment. I liked that.
Yeah, I guess. It was just so much.
It's no Ben Stiller saying hey queers, but it's in there. It's fine.
Oh, there's also the sex scene between them where they're just like hitting each other and going beast mode on each other and just slapping and just whatever the fuck that was.
And it was like supposed to be funny, and they were sucking each other's toes and stuff. Like it was just gay.
That was an odd scene.
Makeup sex because they weren't like established or anything. Oh,
no,
I'm sexually aroused.
No, it wasn't makeup sex.
Stuff. They were doing manly stuff.
Guy stuff, man stuff, man stuff.
Yeah, they were doing that man stuff.
Here's a hot take for you from my notes.
Talk about this. Sorry, RB.
No, you got something. Dude. You got something, Brant. You got something.
I'm literally someone else's balls right now, so I just have to put him down.
Oh,
I feel comfortable talking about this movie with.
Well, all right.
At least he's still got those balls.
So here's a hot take. Here's a hot take from my notes. Gay people shouldn't be allowed to celebrate Christmas if they're gonna say Jesus was gay. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at on this. Jesus, if you're gonna besmirch the man, who probably was banging that prostitute, like fucking, you better not be celebrating Christmas. Which a bunch of Christians would probably get mad at me fucking talking about him banging the prostitute. But that's my line.
When is he banging a prostitute? What is that?
Mary Magdalene. Prostitute. That's the general consent.
The Book of Mary Magdalene. It was another book.
I guess I've heard that.
Yeah.
There's also the Book of Judas.
There's more evidence of him banging that chick than there is of him having banged the disciples, at least. The apostles.
Yeah.
So do you think he banged Mary Magdalene then?
Maybe.
There's nothing in there about the Bible about Jesus having to be a fucking virgin.
No, and like also like see historically at least all the accounts just say Jesus was dope. Like even Romans, like except for the ones who were trying to take him out, they just said he said all this nice shit, people really liked him. He did all this nice shit, people really liked him. Like that's the fucking like whether or not he was gay, I just think it's way more likely he was just banging that fucking woman who came up so much in the mythology of him. I think that's way more likely than he was banging all the fucking apostles, and then the apostles started a religion because they loved banging that guy so much.
Because they love banging that guy.
And that's how gays would write a religion. They'd be like, oh, he had...
The gay religion would...
Every joke is sexual. The joke is always sex. It always comes down to sex. It's always someone else in the ass. And it's
everything he talks about. Everything that Billy Eichner... entire movie goes down to sex.
Like all of his lines come down to boy sex.
He's told not to talk about sex. Mm-hmm. He's told not to talk about sex in front of like this guy's modest parents, and that turns into like a problem, and that he turns on that guy, and he never has to like.
He barely says I'm sorry. He barely says I'm sorry. Yeah. He was being the asshole in that scene, and then he barely says I'm sorry, and then the movie just decides to prove him right about everything afterwards. There's no development, there's no arc. It's just him realizing that he should love himself even more than he already loves himself.
Because he doesn't change his behavior. He doesn't stop talking about like sex just nonstop and just being a total obnoxious like little fag, right? Like he's basically the same guy.
Yeah. And Abraham Lincoln wasn't gay.
I don't know.
Abraham Lincoln was not gay. I wasn't there.
Abraham Lincoln was not gay.
His wife was just a bitch.
The movie had like I felt like producers came at the end like, no, Billy, no. I'd say Lincoln was gay.
No, I think it's because like Lincoln was not fucking gay. He was not. I wasn't there, but he was just a very depressed, very emotional person.
Pick anyone else. Pick John Adams or something.
FDR.
John Adams wasn't gay. Well, if you ask Thomas Jefferson, in the year 1980, he would say his wife had a dick. So it depends on when you ask.
No. What about Lyndon Johnson? I bet you Lyndon Johnson broke some bucks. LBJ broke some bucks.
If LBJ, that is what the B stands for, but LBJ, if he was breaking bucks, it was just for fucking power reasons. It's the same reason he used to shit in front of people. Like he would just be like, "Oh, you're a closeted gay congressman. Like fucking, what does that sink smell like?" And they would just plow him and be like, "All right, so what do you think about the fucking civil rights bill?" They would just shove him right back in.
LBJ might disagree with me. He might not have seen it as gay at the time, but as experts have been able to find out over the course of the decades since then, it is gay. It is in fact gay. So
to shit in front of other dudes,
he probably was gay.
It's gay to shit in front of
fucking other guy. LBJ would have seen it as a power move.
Exactly. He would have just seen it as buck breaking, as you said. It would have just been buck breaking.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have seen it as gay. But it would in fact be gay.
It would be gayish, gay adjacent. I do like at least as long as we're drinking salty tears. I would also like to point out the fact that the speech in the middle of the movie that I know he was just writing for the standing ovations for the Oscars was the speech in the middle of the movie where he's like, I wrote all these gay stories and people said there's no audience for that. Like just the fact that like the fact of the matter is, Mr. Eichner, there was not an audience for that. And then the fucking straight couple in the other row walked out and it was just two boys ranting at bros.
There's no audience. Sorry, Billy Eichner.
Turns out there wasn't.
It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie, and it's like lots of gay movies. Like there's been, I mean, I'm trying to think of a gay blockbuster, but
bad acting.
Fucking Brokeback Mountain was an incredible movie. Philadelphia was a really good movie. Dallas Buyers Club is a really good movie. There are great gay movies out there.
There you go. I haven't seen Brokeback Mountain, but
Brokeback Mountain is great. Written by the guy who wrote Lonesome Dove, Larry McMurtry. Fucking cowboy. Okay. That was written by a legitimate cowboy writer. Like that was fucking good shit. Like Brokeback Mountain's a good movie. I fucking despise the fact. I already talked about this, but just the whole fact that like fucking gay guy writes a movie just so everybody can say how nice his singing voice is, and then have a third act singing song. Hot
Chris Pratt. That guy was, when he put the fucking hat on, I was like 90% sure. Like, did Chris Pratt get this movie?
Could have been Chris Pratt. This was his fucking like. That was right before fucking rock bottom when he played Mario.
Wait, when was Chris?
The gay?
No. Brant's saying that the hot gay guy looked like Chris Pratt to him. He was just like,
especially in the
Billy Eichner wanted to bang Chris Pratt, so he hired a Chris Pratt who couldn't act.
Oh, I see. I was experiencing. My internet. I'm in a barricade in eastern Germany, so my internet's not very good.
Yeah, no, he's our guy on the ground over there.
Yeah, I sorry, I was having technical difficulties, but he kind of looked like Chris Pratt. You know who he looked like? No, Brant. You know who he looked like? Paul Walker. He looked like
Paul Walker is a great one. I was gonna say he looked like fuck, I lost him. Some hot boy, some big boy. Chris Pine. He's up there. He's up there in the Pineverse. Real quick. What?
Smoke some meth.
I said, speaking of East Germany, mind if I smoke some meth real quick?
Do they do that over in East Germany? Or I thought they just like had a wall.
Wait, Dwayne, should we talk about can we talk about, you wanted to talk about Jeffrey Dahmer also?
Yeah, no, because I just thought it was really funny that even though Dahmer was like fucking cut out from the LGBT tab on Netflix, it just happens to be the highest grossing gay movie of the year, despite Bros.
Show. No, it's a mini-series.
Miniseries, but like the highest grossing gay property. Do you think, alright, okay, before we get into Dahmer, I just want to ask this question because it's on my mind. But like, do you think that this movie might be successful somewhere? Like, because I could see it being a cult thing if John Waters made trash, like absolute just like fucking like Hollywood garbage trash. I don't know. That's the way I'm looking at it. Just like maybe the gay community.
Are you talking about Bros? No, Bros is not. Bros is gonna die away. It's not.
You think it's just gonna be like
special about it?
I mean, it is the first this piece of shit that ever got made.
Okay. The thing is, gay people have in my the gay iconic movies. Like I've seen like one or two of them, and they're not my kind of thing. Like those movies, in my opinion, are pretty bad.
Like
they're
what?
Kind of terrible.
Like what? Like which ones?
Did you ever see those?
Anything with Cher in it, obviously.
Yeah, those ones. Yeah, those glammy ones. Those big budget glammy ones. You've seen like the experimental gay ones, like Kenneth Anger, like those ones where it's like it's like just close up shots of like abdomens and like weird visceral, like the Kenneth Anger shots, like shit, like those gay. Those were groundbreaking gay experimental short films. They could have been made by Jeffrey Dahmer, actually.
Sure. Yeah, he could have, like, for Charles Manson's folk music, Jeffrey Dahmer could have been making, like, artsy gay short films.
Yeah, I don't think...
Did you ever see...
Really, I think lesbians are more in tune with the Jeffrey Dahmer,
because they like to eat?
2% of, like, domestic abuse.
Because of the domestic abuse?
Because of the domestic abuse.
Actually, that was an interesting thing, Brant, actually. And one thing that the show did somewhat well is show that, like, Jeffrey Dahmer did not like killing people. No, Jeffrey Dahmer didn't like the confrontations with people. He didn't actually enjoy, like, having to do the process of killing them. Mm-hmm. That was just, like, something that he had to do. Like,
it was something, it was an impulse that he couldn't get past.
Sweet meat.
That is one of the highest, like, really good parts of the movies or the shows, like the fact that I don't think you got this far, Cats, but there's a part where he is being like they're trying to get him off on an insanity plea, and they're talking about Ed Gein and how Ed Gein got off on an insanity plea, and he was just like, well, I'm not insane, Dad, I wanted to do it. And they were like, but you don't remember a lot of it, right? And he was like, yeah, because I was blacked out, Dad.
I was fucking drunk, Dad.
And that's actually something that I think, like, sexual wise, maybe they didn't want to, like, stigmatize the sexual part of it or something, but they only showed Jeffrey Dahmer jerking off one point, and he's just, like, jerking off in his pants when he's in high school or whatever. But, like, they don't show any, like, they don't show the sexual part of him chopping people up and, like, doing the fucked up thing. It just, they murder him, and then it cuts to the smell, like, it moves away from it.
They also... I don't know. Like like when I was watching it, there was parts that I liked about it.
There were some really high points. Really high points.
There's good scenes. Yeah, no, there's actually some really good scenes in there. Or especially like kind of early on. It's just like methodical and taking its time.
And the guy Evan Peters is so good in that shit.
He's pretty good. Yeah, he is pretty good. But like there would just be like little moments every now and then where I could tell like things were being set up, because it's just like it's spending like it's focusing in on this one black woman.
Well, for a show that really hates Karens, it really did elevate the black woman Karen next door. That's what I'm going to say, at least, of that scene. Cats, did we lose you guys? Did I lose you guys?
With like all that shit is like there was angelic black women and angelic gay black men that had literally nothing wrong with them. They did everything perfectly, and they were all perfect all of the time. And then there was like white cops who were really terrible, and they didn't listen to any single person.
Sure, it was sure. Which like I mean, that's like even just in like in true crime shit.
I know.
That's like kind of just how they
actually happen, though.
In true crime shit, they do a lot of like that kind of shit where they make it so race or not, the victims are always elevated and just like shown to only be like perfect people.
The victims, but like at the end of the day, like this was like from the episode that I quit, Dwayne. Like it was about taking back the story for the victims or whatever, where it shows the whole life of that deaf guy, and it's just like beginning to end, like how he kind of went out, and I was like, okay, so it's supposed to be about the victims, but then I still heard about news stories where the victims were saying they didn't like the show because it was re-traumatizing things.
So sure, it should be re-traumatizing thing. If you did, like, you shouldn't like the show. If we're trying to tell the story honestly, you shouldn't like it.
Should hurt.
So why are they trying to honor the victims by telling a story that I don't care about? I don't care about the
story.
No,
I cared so much.
Like it's for
and
the
like
victims.
The worst part of it, you didn't even get this far, Cats, but the worst part of it is when Jesse Jackson shows up and he just like fucking just like he goes to the cops and they're like, the cops are like, I don't want you like starting a race riot over this serial killer, and he's like, well, this is about race, and then the show's like, well, he's right, he's clearly right, he's right, and then they just turn fucking they're basically like Jesse Jackson. Fucking race baiting extraordinaire saved the black community from the Dahmer. It's terrible.
Really? See, well, that's exactly it. Like, it's just frustrating because it's like, the show did, like, you could tell that there was parts of the show that were really well crafted and all this kind of shit.
Pretty much everything with Dahmer. The shit with Dahmer is top tier. Every scene where Dahmer's in it.
It was. And his dad is great. I love that
Richard Jenkins. I think that's his name. I think that guy's fucking great.
I love that guy.
Oh my god! No, how he does the sorrow. You can feel his guilt for just like this. Was this my fault? Was this my fault? Also, like I mean, like it brought.
There's a lot of that,
and it does a good job of like showing like him growing up and showing like both of the parents and like they both kind of fucked up. Like, there's a lot of fucking up going on there. But fucking mama shouldn't have been taking every single pill.
I wonder if Mom was actually that crazy or if that was movie crazy, but I don't.
I think she was actually that crazy because they put in that whole scene where she's like crying at like fucking that women's shelter and they're like, oh, you're gonna have, this is a good job for you. I feel like all the crazy she did must have been real because it put in that one scene where it like makes her look really good. So it was trying to be honest about it. Or not trying to be honest about it, was trying to defend her to a certain extent and show like some lighter. Even though that scene added nothing and could have been cut easily. It should have been an 8-part miniseries, but they made it into 10. That's what it was. And Netflix is fucking racist.
Yeah, and it's just like, at the end of the day, it was trying to take the high ground by saying, like, look at this, we care about the victims, and then it still is just a bunch of fucking bullshit. And it's like, I don't know. It's like you can't take like a piece of at the end of the day you're still like re-traumatizing people or whatever. You're putting Jeffrey Dahmer's face on the fucking poster, so you can't take the high ground when you're making this kind of stuff. But then you just ruin your piece of media. You ruin your story and all this shit by just injecting all this bullshit in there. And Politics. It sucks when there's actually good scenes.
Yeah, no, it does. It sacrifices the good art being made for a message.
Yeah.
That's
why I got to that one episode and I was like, nope, I'm out.
It seems like I've talked to so many different people and everybody's got their own nope moment in it, but the one person I've talked to who finished it says there's a really good scene where Jeffrey Dahmer dies in prison. I didn't know he died in prison, but I'm like, all right, I'd like to see that.
Jeffrey Dahmer just sucks off his son. Really tastefully done.
Did Jeffrey Dahmer die in prison?
Apparently he got killed with a pipe. That's the only thing I know. But they're like, because you haven't gotten to the point where he's in prison, and there's a bunch of scenes where like he's just like fucking like he's like in the fucking mess hall and like he's eating something. He's like, I've eaten people that tasted better than this, and like nobody in the room laughs, and he just walks away, and there are people like, that's fucked up, Dahmer. Like, so it shows it builds up really well to how he's probably gonna get killed in prison because he's pissing off everybody just by like making jokes about his fucked up shit. Yeah. But he was being just a Wisconsin guy. He was like, yeah, I ate people, you know, what fucking beers.
Yeah, I ate people. It was pretty weird.
You want to have a couple of brewskis?
That's funny.
God, I love that he was from Wisconsin. Love that he was from Wisconsin.
You'd think they would just take a fucking joke. Cause of death: homicide by bludgeoning, severe skull and brain trauma. So yeah, probably there was that pipe.
Yeah.
Homicide, more like. Hardy hard.
Homicide.
That's some homo shit.
Well, okay, so here's the question. Do you think Dahmer would have been saved if he had access to like, you know, all of the cultural like stuff that's going on now? No, like
he just would have killed way more people. If Dahmer was around now, he just would have killed way more people and gotten way more apologies for it. He played the game.
Dahmer would have been the Patrick Bateman. He would have been the Patrick Bateman of nowadays.
And especially if he wasn't white.
No, the Patrick Bateman one is fucking Bundy.
Bundy is one of the most Patrick Bateman.
No, because like he's a pretty solid like business guy. Then he was like politically active. Calls and he got into
that's true.
Yeah, no, he was like running for governor or something when they started finding out.
Just like Patrick Bateman, he just went on. He just couldn't stop, and he's like, "Oh fuck, I fucked up."
Yeah, better just keep killing him. Better just keep on going. I don't know that much about Ted Bundy though.
Ted Bundy's interesting. There's a handful. A couple years ago was the year of Bundy, and this is the year of Dahmer. Like, we all have our years of serial killers. Give it a year or two, and we're gonna be in Gacy territory.
There's John Wayne Gacy. Did you know that there's a movie called Gacy versus Dahmer? Apparently, there's a John Wayne Gacy versus Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, is it like a Freddy versus Jason kind of thing, where
that.
Like they're just trying to eat each other?
I wasn't aware of this.
That's fun, at least. That's a fun idea. Go ahead, guys.
That's fun.
That's fun.
Dahmer versus Gacy.
Just take real serial killers and put it into the horror idea. That's a fun idea. Go for it, boys.
Like Celebrity Deathmatch. Remember Celebrity Deathmatch? Could do that with serial killers. That'd be pretty solid.
I wasn't around for Celebrity Deathmatch, but I know of its existence.
Celebrity Deathmatch cast.
Well, like,
My parents weren't out of the room often enough to watch that much Spike
television
TV.
With what if it was like it was like you put all these serial killers in a house together and they have to get along and learn to work together.
That would be great.
Gacy,
that would be fun.
That
would be fun.
Is that a skit? That sounds like a Robot Chicken skit.
But it's like with Freddy and Jason and all the monster movies.
Okay. See, it would be even better than with the actual real life serial killer.
Honestly, dude, if Jeffrey Dahmer and like fucking all these like murder boys, at least of the same age or era, would have just like met up and just like been like and just like rented a fucking apartment together and just been like, guys, like I like you guys, and then they just could have talked about their fucked up shit. Also, like maybe fucking years later,
Speaking of bros.
Those were bros. Those were the true bros. That was the ideal bros.
Those were the bros.
Those were the bros. Exactly, yeah. That's what we're talking about.
Those were bros.
Bros is so bad. What a fucking waste. What a waste of money.
Bro, did you leave a head in the freezer again?
Bro, that's the crisper is my drawer. There's like 7 penises in there. I was going to put those on my sandwiches. Now they're covered in blood. I wanted to taste this guy, not these guys.
That's great. That would be so wacky.
That would be zany. That would be absolutely off the wall.
That would be zany. There would be a review. There would be a review on the cover, Billboard, whatever. It would say, so and so's portrayal of Gacy is just zany. It's just like out of this world.
It's out of this world. It is just an absolutely bananas performance.
John Wayne Gacy is a delight.
He's like, some people are real clowns, and John Wayne Gacy is one of those clowns that only comes along once in a generation. He's up there with Bozo.
He's transitioned from killer clown to comedic clown. And it was effortless.
Man, I bet there was so many good jokes in like the 70s and 60s from like fucking club comics that were like, clown that's eating guys. Man, what a great fucking premise. What a great premise. Like there's some balloon animal jokes in there. I don't even know what they would be, but that is just fucking, you could go for hours, man. I wonder if George Carlin ever talked about serial killers like them.
No, I don't remember any George Carlin bits about serial
He probably did, but you gotta go hunt for him because he was a funny boy. Bros is such a bad movie. Like, I'm happy for Dahmer to at least exist because like it tried to be good, but like Bros tried really hard to be good and just ended up. It's a fucking student fucking college short film that's just all about making the protagonist look good with fucking $70 million or whatever behind it. And at least $100 million in marketing. And it got a wide release. It was shown in the Butte Plaza Mall.
It was shown when you guys said that you were going to go see it in Butte, that was where I realized how wide of an audience it
how
got,
much of a mistake it was.
Dude, really? We got on the last date.
This was the last day? Was this the last day?
Last date?
Yes, I thought wait.
No, but I think Brant, didn't they had other days scheduled, but they were like, all right, 4 people bought these tickets today. We're not playing this again.
Yeah.
We will go under. Just play The Northman again or something. Just play a movie.
Yeah. Just play a real movie. Play
Dude, play The Croods. Just do something. Anything but this.
I hate having to check that theater because every time it's just gay sex. It's just gay butt fucking. Every time I walk in there, it's just Billy Ike being a.
But the people working in the theater actually seemed like we were being saucy boys because when we showed up late to it, because I'd already seen the beginning like 3 times at that point. But like when we showed up late to it and we bought the tickets, they were like, the movie's already started, right? And I said, yeah, that doesn't matter. Have you seen this? This sucks. And they were just like, okay, whatever.
We already saw the first half. It's fine.
22 million. The budget was 22 million, and the box office has been 9.2 million.
Mm.
So
And that's 22 million. 22 million is not anywhere near counting the marketing budget, which for you guys have ad block or whatever, but I got YouTube ads. I got Grindr ads. I knew about this movie very well before it came out.
See,
that was like I was
not aware of this movie.
That was a shit ton of money that went into it. Maybe it was just marketing towards the gays like myself. And I did my job. I did my part. I represented
only
in the
on
theater.
Grindr. Only on Grindr were there ads. I don't know. I don't have ad block on my smart TV, and I get a lot of ads there. Political ads and like car ads.
I haven't been getting political ads yet, but I did get bros ads, so I don't know what that says about me.
That's hilarious. Well, should we get into our remakes? Oh, host
literally just left.
I know. I mean, what is he doing? What's going on? Who's running the ship here?
I have like a idea, and that's all I want to give.
I don't have much, but I think I have a solid title. As per usual, I've just put most of the effort into the title, but I think there's a little bit I can flesh out there. I don't know.
What's your